Farhan, welcome. Great to have you on.
Hey there. How's everybody doing?
Excellent. Very good. Very good. Fantastic. So, so Farhan, kind of leading into, obviously there was a question around on the chat around kind of what are the platforms doing with AI, and of course
Yeah,
Shopify, leading platform out there. And so we're very excited to have you as the kind of head of engineering from Shopify here. Tell us a little bit about yourself, and if there's
sure.
other things you'd like to share on Shopify, some interesting stats. I know Harley shared some things on kind of BCFM, but audience would love to hear more.
Yeah, for sure. So, yeah, I've been in the industry for like, over 2 decades now, focused on lots of different things from mobile and now obviously into commerce. And I guess what's interesting about my background is that I worked at lots of small companies and big companies. So like small, like started my own, but also some big ones. Like the biggest one I worked for was probably Microsoft. And I think you can learn different things at different stages in your career, and you can definitely learn a lot from being in these different environments. And I think what's amazing about what's happening at Shopify is that we really are like just fully mission aligned. We want to increase entrepreneurship in the world, and we do that by just reducing the toil to entrepreneurship. So that means allowing merchants to save time, have tools to enable them to mostly spend their time building great products and talking to their community versus being inside of our admin. My goals are like the opposite. I don't want to have time spent in my products go up. I want time spent in my products to go down, because actually entrepreneurs are building things and talking to their community versus hanging out with us. And so we spent a lot of time thinking about that. Today, actually, we launched our Editions.
Yeah.
Editions is where we just do a roundup of all the things we've launched over the last 6 months. This time we called it the Boring Edition, which is basically this ability to literally just say, hey, everything you thought already worked together now works together. Instead of launching new things, we just want to say, remember that thing that didn't work with that thing? Now it works together. Remember how that thing was slow? It's not slow anymore. So we called it boring because it's just literally just fix all the things we already said that should be in the product. And we launched over 150 things that literally should have been there from the beginning.
That's fantastic. Yes, I saw that. I was watching that come out this morning, and I was reading a little bit of
Yeah,
the headlines on that. So great work. I'll get touch upon that in a minute. So
cool.
obviously, look, Shopify's done an amazing job in terms of entrepreneurs and large brands, which is really unique in terms of
Yeah,
kind of a vendor in the space. So you have retailers who are all leaning into Shopify. Obviously, the entrepreneur community is big on Shopify.
yeah.
As the person who's leading engineering and innovation, what can you share with the audience around AI and its impact on kind of how commerce will happen, how people buy, how people sell?
Yeah. So we're really big on the fact that AI is like a task accelerator or task replacer. It's not a job replacer, right? It's not like you can take that person and be like, that person's job is now AI. It's actually that person can now do so much more because they have AI with them. And so we really look at it as like as a tool in your tool belt. And so imagine, one of the things we launched today was Sidekick. Imagine you're in now the admin and you feel like you're alone and I'm on this journey and I'm trying to build a business, but you're not anymore. You've got this agent. You can ask questions. You can ask it how to do things. You can see what other people are doing and ask and see how they're using these agents. Even just our help center, we have like, a bot that helps you figure out what help you need, and then can eventually also get you to a human if you have to talk to somebody in real life. But the idea is that we can accelerate these workflows. And we really do feel like not just for our own employees, because we use AI internally, but also for our merchants. Literally, like I mentioned, spending less time building your storefront, spending less time writing a product description, or spending less time auto categorizing your product into its correct taxonomy. Those are things we want to do for you. So it feels like magic. Actually, we call it Shopify magic, so that you can then focus on the thing that we want you to do, which is build great products and talk to your customers.
That's fantastic. I have to say, it's very counterintuitive hearing somebody in the software business talk about the desire to have their users spend less time in their tool,
Yes.
more time in their tool. But it's actually kind of indicative, I think, of this trend around how AI makes things easier.
Yeah, and
And
I would actually add something to that. We've got a strange metric too around churn, because most people are like, oh, I don't want my users to churn. And actually for us, we want people to try different things. Like we noticed
thanks.
that when entrepreneurs come to Shopify, their first business on Shopify might not actually work, because they might be learning
Yeah.
about a product category, they might be learning about a community, but their second one or third one or sixth one or eighth
Yeah.
one might work. And if we actually optimize for churn, we wouldn't get those people in. We want them to try. And what's
Yeah.
happening is when people try, some of those things like break out and take off. And it's because we make it so easy to try new things.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's a great thing. And even in our domain, we use, this concept you mentioned around agents that
Yeah.
help the users. In our case, it's operations people. So we have an agent that helps the operations people basically optimize how stuff works on the back end, because that's kind of what we do. So definitely, I think that trend around making life easier so that people can do things more efficiently, I think is a great one. So obviously you talked about some of the features, you talked about Sidekick a little bit. Can I get you to look forward a little bit more and talk about some of the things that you're thinking about, even that you think will shape how people buy and sell?
Yeah, I mean, Shopify is a platform, right? So everything we think about, we want to make sure that people can build on top of us and integrate into us, because the idea is that we are the place where you can plug everything into. It's your central dashboard. So you could come in to Shopify in the morning and know that kind of everything that you care about in your commerce world is here, whether it's in-store operations via point of sale, whether it's online via the website, whether it's fulfillment, whether it's inventory, you have one spot. And as you grow, you may decide to adopt another tool, but that just plugs into our system. So you don't have to actually think about, I need to re-platform and get off Shopify and go to that other thing, and then the toil that's required. Instead, you can say, you know what? There's a new inventory system or a new fulfillment application I need to integrate with because my operations have gotten more complex. I can still plug that in. I can still use the same email tools, website tools, point of sale tools, but now I have more functionality built on top. So we continue to spend time there. The other thing I would say, and this is quite unique for Shopify, is we spend a lot of time on user experience and performance. Like we care so much about those two things. One is just making sure it feels delightful to come into the admin, to use our tools, to build out your brand for your customers. And then the second thing is it's got to be fast, right? We say this thing like, not all fast software is great, but all great software is fast. And so it has to be fast. And that means like we spend countless time, like hours and countless amounts of our resourcing just focus on reducing things that take a long time in our system. And as we grow and as our customers grow, obviously you've gone from like 5 orders to maybe you have 10,000 orders, and it should not take a long time for that to load in our admin. And so we spend a lot of time on optimizing the performance of our system as well.
Yeah, which is what people see in real life, except they don't know all the work that goes into it. And I know you guys have an army of designers, probably more than any other software company out there. The other interesting thing, I think you touched upon this, which is with Shopify, I think outside Apple and their App Store, a lot of people within the B2B software space have tried this approach around the App Store, but I think you guys have really kind of pulled it off in a way that, people like Salesforce and others, I think, have had challenges doing. I mean, that it's there, but it's not used in the prolific way that you talked about. So it's interesting to listen to you say that part of this experience is also very key, and the way that AI can help to shape
so
that.
The reason it makes so much sense is that, and you can see this happen with Apple in some cases too, is that we also build on top of our own APIs, right? So in order to have a great app store platform, it can't be that we have a secret set of APIs and then customers are outside using different set of APIs, because then how would we ever know if it was working, or how do we make sure we're building the right thing? So instead, we have many apps ourselves that we build on top of the same APIs. And then if we notice, oh my God, this API shape doesn't make sense, or the performance doesn't make sense, or the security model doesn't make sense, or the deprecation timeline doesn't make sense because we've got to migrate our own apps, then we can actually feel the same pain and say, okay, what's the right thing to do for the platform, including first party, us, and including second and third party as well. And so we really think that it's a great way to grow with Shopify is to plug in those apps, build your own custom apps. Because again, we give you a lot of functionality, whether it's using our APIs, whether it's building functions, right? All of these things allow people to customize how Shopify works.
Oh, exactly. It's interesting you touch upon building your own app. So I was doing a little bit of research over the weekend around, Shopify AI and what people were doing out there. And I saw this video where somebody basically kind of was like a 15-minute video around how you can set up your own website using some tools, and then, plug in a few drop shippers, and you're kind of done. So if you kind of think about what you guys are doing in terms of making it super easy for people to sell things, what do you think the nirvana looks like? Will I be able to build a business in 5 minutes and start making money?
Yeah, I think that there's a few things happening there. One is we're the platform for great ideas with great entrepreneurs who want to build great products. And so we want you to spend as much time building great products. If you build a great product, by the way, all we're doing is reducing toil for you to get that product out to the world. And so we can help reduce that toil via AI, via agents, via reducing toil and making the admin fast. But there's never going to be like, I'm never going to design the product for you. You're the person who's going to care about it the most, right? And so we want to enable that product to show in the best way. So for example, you might take a picture of your product, and then we can use our AI tools to remove the background, or might put another background in so you can show it off in the best light. But the product that you made is not something that we're ever going to be able to replicate because you care about it the most and you know the problem you're solving the most. And so there's going to be parts of the experience we can totally optimize and reduce toil. There's other parts that we feel like you have to spend the time in, and we want you to spend the time in there because that's where great products are built. And so it's a little bit of we have this internal like video game analogy where like the what is the reward from beating level 1? It's getting to level 2. And so same thing here. It's like your reward is actually you get to play at the next level, which is now sell even more. Now open up a new channel. Now maybe go on offline into retail. Now maybe try marketing with the ad network. So that's how we think about it.
That's fantastic. So I want to kind of move a little bit to another topic, which I've been watching, which is Shop App, which is kind of Shopify essentially. If you think about it, today's relationship, and thankfully my wife used a lot of Shopify stores during Black Friday and Cyber Monday because I see the email coming in for orders and stuff, and I know what to look for. So clearly, having those first-party websites where entrepreneurs, enterprises sell is key. But there's of course a Shop App, which is kind of like seems to me to be a long-term play. Can you talk a little bit about and how you see that evolving in the context of how people will buy? Because that's kind of one forum in which people will buy, right? Through the app, not just through the website.
No, for sure. Shop App, again, everything at Shopify is a platform, and so is Shop App, right? Shop App is a way for merchants and brands to connect with buyers who have already bought from them. And it's a way for those buyers then to get connected to things that they may also like from those same brands. And so you can kind of go in, you can follow different brands, you can have offers from brands you already care about, right? I actually saw offers coming in on my Shop App today for some things I want to buy for my kids. And so it allows you to kind of have that one-stop experience for everything that you buy from anywhere online, and then also, of course, from great Shopify merchants as well. And then there's also this notion of like shop minis where you can create experiences. You might want to build a immersive experience on Shop, and then that can go out to your customers. You might want to be an app developer and build something for other brands as well and launch it on Shop. And it's such an interesting way for us to connect with buyers via their phones. And I love hearing the notifications coming in when you buy things. And I hear it at the coffee shop, whether it's an entrepreneur from the shop, the Shopify mobile app, because they're actually getting an order, or the Shop App, because you can actually tell when people are like using these tools, and it's amazing. And I love hearing feedback from people who are using these tools as well.
Oh, that's fantastic. Good to hear. So there's a topic which I think Brian touched upon, which I know you're passionate about as well, which is this conversational agentic world from a buyer perspective. So I kind of mentioned this earlier when we were chatting with Brian, which is like, we know we're buying a new fridge. So of course I have to try out, various AI tools to figure out what it recommends to me. And of course we already have things like consumer reports in theory that are unbiased and tell us kind of what we should be buying or not buying. How do you see this this conversational world evolve? And I know you guys are doing some work with Perplexity for anybody that follows the space. How do you see that evolve and your role within that world as Shopify?
Yeah, I think, the cool thing is that no one knows, right, where it's going to go, right? My previous world was like in mobile, and we never knew mobile was going to become so big. And, I think everyone gets surprised at how big retail is, every time a new report comes out. So it's hard to know what's going to happen. But what we try to build is the infrastructure layer so that lots of things could be built on top of our platform, right? So you can imagine if the world moves to like not using websites anymore, and not using email anymore, and not using ad networks anymore, because over time, consumers shift, and it ends up being like conversational, and you have like your own personal shopping agent, right? Like, we want to be ready for that world. And that's why actually those things can already be built on top of Shopify. And you can already have an experience with, you land on a Shopify store, and you can have we have an inbox chat agent that can talk to your buyers. And you may want to build something more complex. You may want to be plugged into Perplexity or OpenAI and ask like, what's the best umbrella? And you want Shopify merchants to show up there, or maybe your brand, right? So I think that again, we're building that infrastructure layer to make all these things possible, such that whatever happens, we can make it easier for you to take advantage of the new modality. And so one of the key values of Shopify is we say something like, I think the value we shoot out publicly is like, Shopify keeps me on the cutting edge. Like, you don't have to think about AI so much as long as we're thinking about it, so that if that new world comes, we're ready for it with you.
No, that makes sense. And I think that's always when you get a big technology shift, buyers are always looking to consume that technology. But there's also this model where the platforms will consume it for you, and they will give you things out of the box versus you having to go and figure stuff out yourself, which I think we're going through that phase. Obviously, you guys are innovating a lot around this. So, people expect to see more of these kind of newer engagement models. And I think one of the things you touched upon is, at the end of the day, it sounds like what you want to do is make it easy for sellers to find the buyers. And if chat is where the buyer,
yeah, I mean, we're so merchant focused, but guess what? The number one thing merchants want is buyers, right? And so of course, of course, you want to have both ends of that. And I think the way to think about it is that we're going to build the tool so that the merchant, again, can focus all their time on building great products and talking to their customers, and they can press buttons. I want my product to be in TikTok. I want my product to be in Perplexity. I want my product to be in Facebook. Like, you can just press buttons and have that central dashboard. We make that easy. The hard part, super hard part, build great products.
Yes, absolutely. And that's the part, that's left to all the entrepreneurs, retailers, and the brands out there. So, final question. So, what advice would you have for the audience out there? Some of them may be on Shopify, some of them may be 3PLs. We have a very wide audience for these webinars, and they may be on other platforms. God forbid. So what advice would you have for those out there who are looking to do stuff with AI?
Yeah, I would say for the number one thing is like to try all the things. I know that, as people get set in their workflows, they might not try to adopt these new tools. For me, actually, I keep like a chat GPT window open at one of my tabs all the time to remind me that actually I'm doing something. I could probably just go to ChatGPT and ask it and see what it gives me. And so I think we have to all be weary that like new modalities are coming, and to be as close to those modalities as possible, so that we're not left out when all of a sudden, like, your kids are using AI, they're using voice to talk to their phones, and we're not. And if we're not, well, we're going to miss the next modality. The other thing I would say is try to be as close to young people as possible, because they're the ones who are doing very interesting work, and they grew up in a different era. And so I try to do the same.
Oh, that's fantastic. So I guess go and learn some stuff from your kids.
Exactly.
That's a big thing. So, Farhan, big thanks to you. Great to see you again. Really appreciate you joining this webinar and sharing your insights with the audience. And grateful to you. Have a great Christmas, and hopefully you have a good run up for Shopify between now and the end of the year. And